Good morning. Today I'm going to talk about respiration. Respiration is a process by which we remove carbon dioxide from our bodies and we breathe in oxygen into our bodies. Respiration is divided into two. There is external respiration and internal respiration. External respiration is what I'm going to describe today. Internal respiration is occurring at the level of the cells, at the molecular level. Respiration, without the respiration, we are not going to survive. Before we talk about respiration, let us see the composition of the air that we breathe in, the partial pressure of the air, the composition of the room air. The room air, or the atmospheric air, is composed of nitrogen, 78%, oxygen, 21%, carbon dioxide is about 0.4%. The other inert gases constitute the remaining percentage. And the pressure exerted by each of these gases is called its partial pressure. The partial pressure of gases at the atmospheric level are the same. Now, supposing this is our lungs, the lungs. Okay, just roughly our lungs. It is composed of the ribs, and the lung tissue. The lung tissue is contained inside the rib cage and bordered by the ribs. Inside the components of the rib cage includes the external intercostals and internal intercostals. These are very important muscles that I'm going to talk about. Inside the lungs, you have left lung and you have right lung. You have the trachea. The trachea has cartilages. As you go down, it divides into 23. The respiratory tree divides into 23. The first 16 generations do not exchange gases, and the last 6 generations are the places where gaseous exchange takes place, and this one is called expiratory zone, whereas the last 16 ones are called the conducting zones. The ribs are connected with external intercostals. The external intercostals run obliquely downward and upward. Also, you have internal intercostals. Also, they run backward and obliquely backwards. Now, you have the diaphragm here, the diaphragm. There's the diaphragm, and the diaphragm, you have abdominal muscles. And you have the accessory respiratory muscles. You have scaly muscles. You have the sternocleidomastoid muscles. And you have latissimus dorsi at the back. These muscles, as you take in air during a quiet breathing, the chest expands and contracts because of these muscles. Now, in order to explain this, we talk about the mechanics of respiration. Mechanic of respiration. What does it mean? During a quiet, normal breathing, we take in 500 ml of air and remove 500 ml of air. When we take in oxygen, and this is called inspiration, the chest expands, and this is the actions of inspiratory muscles. Inspiratory muscles are the diaphragm. When it contracts, it pulls down, increasing the vertical diameter, whereas the external intercostals, when they contract, they pull the chest out, and when the sternocleidomastoid muscles, they pull up the ribs, and the anterior posterior diameter increases. Anterior posterior diameter increases, and the vertical diameter increases. Whereas the pressure, what happens to the pressure? The pressure decreases. Now, this brings us to there has been guys that have been working on this, and the guy is called Boyles. Robert Boyles. Another, the guy is called Jacques Charles. These guys, I like them. They have been working on the 3 parameters in 1962. 3 parameters. The pressure, 162. They have been working on 3 parameters: the pressure, the volume, and temperature. And they has taken a formula, an equation that says pressure is directly proportional to the kinetic energy of the molecules it's contained, and then assuming that the temperature is constant. In the same way, it says the pressure is inversely proportional to its volume. What does it mean? In other words, pressure is directly proportional to the kinetic energy of the molecules it's contained when temperature is normal. In other words, as the pressure increases, the temperature increases as well. As increase the pressure, the temperature increases. inverse proportion. When a certain parameter increases, the other parameter decreases. Now what happens during respiration? As you breathe during quiet breathing, the volume of intrathoracic cage increases, whereas the pressure decreases. But during expiration, the volume of the intrathoracic cage contracts, decreases. And what happens to the pressure? The pressure increases. Now, that is what happens during the respiration. When you understand this formula, you will be able to explain the mechanism behind the water cycle, why there are rains, why do we have rains. Now, there are lung volumes. The amount of air that we take in and out during a quiet, normal breathing is called tidal volume. Tidal volume. And the amount of air inspired on top of the tidal volume is called, during the maximum inspiration, is called inspiratory volume. Inspiratory reserve volume. And the amount of air expelled during maximum expiratory effect is called expiratory reserve volume. Expiratory reserve volume. And the amount of air that remains inside the lung is called residual volume. Residual volume. Okay. Residual volume. Now there are capacities. You have the vital capacity, that is the total amount of air that we breathe during maximum inspiratory effect is the vital capacity. And this measures the function of our lungs, the ability of our lungs to take in the maximum amount of air. Otherwise, this is what I'm going to show you during this lecture. Meet you in the coming lecture. Thank you.